This is Andy Schumann for another interview for MedGizmos. Today we're going to talk to Lori Short, who is the Key Account Manager for Pediatrics at Plusoptix. And by way of introduction, I've been using Plusoptix photo screeners for many years. I've been very pleased. Uh, the company is very responsive to problems with the devices, replacement of devices, upgrading devices, and I'm a big proponent of vision screening in children. And I've been writing articles that have been published in Contemporary Pediatrics for many years. So, Lori, welcome. And
Thank
we're
you.
here today for you to introduce a brand new Plusoptix device, the S20. So take it away, Lori.
That's correct. This year, Plusoptix just launched a brand new device. We're not reinventing the wheel by any means. The software to do the vision screening works very much the same, but the enhancements have been to really help the end user get a quick and better reading, perhaps. So if you'll notice, we have two models that are available right now for purchase. This one behind me is called the S12R, and this is the new S20. The first difference that you will notice is the face of the device. There was a study done that young children will fixate better on round rather than edges. So one of the enhancements that was done by our design team was to change the fixation, what the child is fixating on, from square to round. So
Mhm.
that's one of the differences that you'll notice. Again, the software is pretty much the same. Another thing that has been enhanced is the battery, and I'll open the battery compartment here so that you can see it. This battery, we used to use rechargeable AA batteries. This battery is more square in nature, and it can be, it's made the device a full half-pound lighter. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, a half-pound, but when you're carrying around equipment all day, a half-pound can mean a lot. So this device only weighs 2 pounds, and the one little guy behind me weighs 2.5.
Oh,
And we do
okay.
have another device on the market, Dr. Schumann, that have used for a long time. I actually have it down here. This is the S12C,
Yeah.
and it is also available. This is the last in the three devices that we have available. But with the introduction of our new S20, we have moved the S12C to a subscription model. So one can subscribe to this through an annual subscription, but it is no longer available for purchase.
I
The
see.
difference between this device and the new S20 device, besides this little guy back here, the S12R, is these two have Wi-Fi capabilities. So if pediatricians are trying to upload those into an electronic health record, the Wi-Fi can expedite that a bit. And also these two devices have a database where this guy behind me does not. And the database comes in real handy if you are screening the same patients year after year. So if I came in for my well child check today and you had screened me last year, you can pull my records up on the device without having to re-enter my name, date of birth, and perhaps medical record. So those are the main differences between these devices and this S12R behind me. The other difference is the S12C and the S12R utilizes a SD card to store all of the PDF results on it. So the SD card just pops out and you can upload to your EMR that way too. And with the new S20 device, it has changed to a USB drive because a lot of our computers now don't accommodate an SD card. So there is no SD card any longer, rather a USB port so that you can stick a USB drive in. And while I'm talking about that, if your computer doesn't have an SD card, this is an adapter that I have. It's a USB drive, but you can stick your SD card into that and then stick the USB drive into your computer to upload PDF copies of the vision screening results. The next update to this is the on button. The on button is located right here. I'm going to switch it on. It says Plusoptix and it is green. And that little button tells us some things about the device as it's working. It's turning on right now. It is software, so it takes a minute to turn on just like the other devices. But when this is illuminated green and solid, that tells me that my device is fully charged. If it starts turning yellow, that means I probably better think about charging it at some point in the near future. And if it turns red, you want to expedite that even quicker and get it plugged in. Plusoptix has made it as such that when you plug in to the device, it fits all three devices. So all the cord fits the same. There are no separate or different cords. This Plusoptix illuminator here also tells us if it turns a pink in color and your device isn't working, it tells us that you have the battery inserted in properly. It's either upside down or flipped around. So that's one of the first questions that we might ask if you're having trouble. When the device first turns on, one of the things on the device is a magnifying glass, and that's the feature that I just mentioned with the database capabilities of this. If you push that magnifying glass and start typing in my name, you will see that my name and my birth date shows up, and you can just hit that, and then it populates the field, my first name, last name, my date of birth, if I had a medical record number entered, and it will also give you my previous screenings. So you can look back to see what was happening last year and maybe how far I've come this year. So if you're ready to screen me at that point, there are two round circles in each corner that say go, and they're flashing green right now. You just hit that button to do the screen. Works the exact same as the other two devices. You have to be 3 foot 3 inches away from your subject or 1 meter. Another enhancement, my favorite perhaps enhancement of this device, is there is a little notch right here between the eyebrows of the device. And this device will tell you when you're the proper distance from your patient. So there's no monkeying around to try to figure out 3 foot 3 inches or a meter. That will tell us. So the minute that you hit the go button, your device will turn red on the right side and left side, columns that are red. And then I always like to say, stand like you're on a surfboard and put your right foot in front and don't move your body. You just move the device in or out to get your subject in queue. And once you are 3 foot 3 inches away, those red bars on the side will turn green. And then you just hold it at that point and you'll hear a little warble sound. It'll go, and it'll give you your pass or refer result. What just happened to my screen now is you can set how often you want it to shut down. So if you're not using it, you want to save battery capacity, there are settings available to where your screen will blacken like mine just did. If I want it to turn back on again, I just hit it again. I'm going to X out of this screen to show you some of the features in the settings. This is very familiar to, or very similar to what you're familiar with. There is a little tool wheel on the left-hand side. You just press that tool wheel and it takes you into all of the settings. The brightness of the device, the loudness of the sound, how soon you want the device to go to sleep if it's not in use or turn the screen off, how quickly it actually powers down. You can change that. You just tap the little bars to move them forward or backward. It tells you the percentage. We always recommend that you go somewhere kind of in the middle because that'll save battery life. But if you're in a situation where, let's say, for instance, you need the sound to be louder, you might just go all the way up to where the sound is louder so that the child can hear the sound it makes and then fixate on the front of your device. Anytime you change a setting, you will notice a green check mark at the bottom. The check mark means yes, save it. So any screen that you're on, if you touch something and want to save what you've just done, you hit the green check mark. If you have a question about the screen that you're on, there's a question mark here. You just press the question mark and it will tell you what you might be looking for, what the different features on that page does.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to save anything, abort, hit the X on the screen and it will just X out of what you were in.
Yep.
So the next one is the date and time. Previously on our two other devices, if you took the batteries out of the device, I travel with mine a lot, so I would always have to reset the date and time whenever I got somewhere. There's now a little internal battery that will keep your date and time when you take the battery out. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another nice new feature. A nice old feature, previous feature, is this third button here. I know it's hard to see with the glare, but there are two flags. And if you hit that flag, there are several flags here. And if you're working with a patient who speaks a different language, you can save the result in English if you would like to for your electronic health record. But if you need to print out one of the results that prints out, you can select their native language and it will print out in their language, which is a really nice feature too. The I button is just if we were sending you a software update, you would go into that. I'm going to skip this feature and come back to it because I want to talk to you about that on our main page. This middle one here is Wi-Fi connection. I'm connected to Wi-Fi now, and I know that because my little arches there are blue. If they were gray, then we would not be connected to Wi-Fi. This arrow thing, again, is something that would be used if you were saving to an electronic health record. The buttons down at the bottom have a smiley face and a folder. Smiley face is the device. The folder is your USB drive. So if you are wanting to send something to your USB drive, you would use the smiley face to folder. If you wanted to pre-enter your patient's names, date of birth, medical records beforehand, so like at the beginning of your clinic day,
Mm-hmm.
then you would stick your USB drive in and then you would use folder to smiley face to download those into the internal database. You can also trash any of the files on your device. You can also lock your screen. I'm going to go back to this icon here that are two arrows with three dots in between it. All of our other devices have this as well, but it is one of the best features, I think, of the Plusoptix Vision Screener. You can set your sensitivity and specificity for referral criteria at each age. And it also gives you the research article where that sensitivity and specificity is pulled from. We recommend 4. Most young children are going to refer for astigmatism. And that one has the greater allowance of astigmatism for younger kids. If you need to change that, if you're working with an optometrist or ophthalmologist who says, you know, I'm never going to prescribe glasses for a 3-year-old at this degree of astigmatism, then you can change the referral criteria. And we can customize that. So if you don't like any of your 5 choices, you can let us know. We will customize the criteria, send it to you on a USB drive, and then you'll have your own custom referral criteria. I showed you that last because if we go back here to the home page, that icon is in the middle. So you can do 3 things with this device. You can do visual acuity testing, which is shown by these symbols. You press the symbol. It asks you to pick which acuity test you want to do, 20/30, 20/40, 20/50. If you want to do 20/30 and 20/20 2-line, which I'm going to pick, and I can also select crowding bars, and then I say OK or cancel. I say OK. Then it will give me HOTV at those different 20/20 and 20/30 with crowding bars. I would hold it at my shoulder. The AAP says that you can do a visual acuity screening at 10 foot or 20 foot. This is designed for 10 foot. So you would do this 10 foot away. We designed it that way because most exam rooms aren't 20 foot long, so that you can do a visual acuity if you need that, most likely for sports physicals or for state requirements. I screen because I think it gives you so much more. You can also hit this button over to the right that has two eyes on it, and that will give you your red reflex. And that's another enhancement with this device. I'm going to show you the screening reports. The screening reports used to look like this, where you have the first image here that gives you a pass or refer, and then it gives you these images on the side that blows up the pupil. So if there are any opacities in it, like a cataract, you would be able to find that. Now that shows up like a neon light because you can get your red reflex documented. It shows up actually in red rather than in gray tones. So you can do that standalone, just a red reflex, but that will also show up on the vision screening. And that icon that I mentioned earlier with the referral criteria is the icon for vision screening. So you would press that, and then you pick the age of the patient. So if this is a new patient and you haven't used the magnifying glass to look up their old record, you would just select their age range. And we do that. We really want it to keep the device novel for the child so that they don't get used to what you're doing before you're entering stuff. So it's really meant to pick up off the counters, hit I'm going to screen. I am somewhere between 6 and 99. So you would hit that and then you're ready to go. Those go buttons are flashing right there. I can screen myself, but I told you I have a bad eye today. Would you like me to screen myself?
Go right ahead. I'm very impressed by this device, Lori. It's fantastic.
You know, it just has a lot of nice enhancements. I've
Yeah.
been screening across decades. I've used everyone on the market, and this is so responsive, I think is the word I would use. The screen's responsive. When it takes a screening, it's responsive. It's just really fast.
Yeah.
So
When was the previous model released? So this is many years in the making, I think.
it has been many years because you've had that S12C for probably a decade.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And they started, the very first Plusoptix I ever used was actually attached to a computer. It was
Yeah.
attached to a computer. They got rid of the computer. Then they just went with a monitor. And the thing is, Plusoptix does one thing, and they're really good at one thing, vision screening. So again, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just providing enhancements from customer feedback, from screening result to exam. So the technology really hasn't changed a lot through the years. They're just trying to make the device more user friendly. So how I screen myself, this, like I say, is kind of embarrassing. I'm going to take my glasses off to give you some pathology. I'm going to put this device on my printer back here, and I'm going to hit the go button. So you won't be able to see what's going on the screen because I don't have a subject to screen for you, but I'll at least show you some pathology and then what happens after my refer result. At
Oh,
least
okay.
that's what I always get anyway. So I'm going to hit go. Let's put it back here on my printer. I'm going to be 3 foot 3 inches away. It's looking for me.
And I see some visual stuff on that screen, which is new, isn't it?
Um, Most of that, Andy, you can't really see unless you're on the computer.
Okay.
Look, I was out of focus. I was sitting up too tall. I'm going to slouch a little bit. Like I say, it works much easier when somebody's behind the camera. But you see how quickly it gets me.
Oh,
When the
perfect. Look
go
at
there,
that.
I sat down.
Yeah.
So those go buttons, after you hit it, turns into a musical note. So
Yeah.
if I were screening a child and the child weren't looking at me, I could hit the button again where the musical note is, and it would play music so that the child fixates more on your device. So the result you get is either refer or pass, and it tells you that right here. My refer is in red, and
Okay.
if it were pass, it would be green. So I'm the mom of a cataract kid. My child had a cataract at age 3. And this is another feature that I love about this new device. If I tap the screen, it blows up those pupils.
Oh, that's fantastic.
unfortunately, I want cataracts now to get rid of these. Um, but I am pretty clear. There's absolutely nothing in my eye. If I
Okay.
had a cataract, it would show up as a black dot or a variance in color. But the color of my pupil is is pretty well the same. And again, the responsiveness, you just go back and forth, just tap it between my original refer pass to see if I have any opacities in the eye. If you want to see what I referred for, then you push this little purple button in the middle, and that's where it shows red is what I'm referring for, green is what I have passed.
Mm-hmm.
So this device is made for children. I'm 56, but it still screens me,
You're a child as far as I'm concerned.
right?
Okay.
So what it does is it accounts for one diopter of accommodation. Kids can
Mhm.
accommodate, but at my age, I have presbyopia and my lens does not flex anymore. So this is actually one diopter greater than what my prescription is. So in my right eye, it's showing a +4. And in my left eye, it says HYP, hyperopia, out measurement out of range, it's saying. And that's because I've gone off the charts on that.
Mm-hmm.
And +5 is the highest that it goes. So it'll still tell you I'm hyperopic, but I'm off the chart, so it won't give you a reading. So I'm greater than a 5. So I'm also an isometropic. I have a difference in the refractive error in my eye. So it measures that as well, of course, because it gives you those values. The next value that you see red here, I have just a slight degree of astigmatism. So it's giving me a referral for astigmatism as well. The next value, it is measuring my pupil diameter. Most of us don't have a symmetric pupil diameter. Mine is a 4.7 and a 4.6
Mm-hmm.
with that reading. And most of the time it's purely cosmetic, but it can indicate a neurologic problem for some kiddos if that degree of difference
Mm-hmm.
is far great. So it will refer for that as well. And the last one is gaze asymmetry or strabismus. So if a child has a muscle imbalance, that is the last thing that it will refer for. And it's telling me down here what it's referring for. It's telling you my measurement is out of range, which we can see, and telling me refer. So if I go back to the results page, this child was a pass. So there, that data that you're seeing there, the data shows up right here in the middle. And then all of the things that it's checking for, an isometropia, astigmatism, hyperopia, myopia, gaze asymmetry, and isochoria, all those things it lists. And if the child refers, then it puts that line out into the refer column
Mm-hmm.
so that they know that that's the referral. So these are the PDF files that the device saves that you can upload into the medical record. And these can be customized too at the bottom, the referral reports if they need to be. You'll also notice I screened in the light. You don't have to turn your exam room lights off.
Oh,
The way
that's
this
wonderful. Yeah.
It is wonderful because the kids cry right away if you turn the
Right.
lights off. I have two windows here next to me. It's a gloomy day here. If it were a bright sunshiny day, I might have to pull those drapes closed because it is the heat of light that does affect the reading. So if you have lights that are heated, then that might affect it. But if you have fluorescent lights in your exam rooms, which most do, it will not affect it at all. You can leave the lights on.
Mm-hmm. Remind me, I forget, but how many measurements occur in how many seconds to, produce a result?
Oh, you're challenging me now. They actually put performance LEDs in this. It used to be 52. And with the performance LEDs, it's just a few less. But that's what you saw when it was up on my printer, those red lights spinning around.
Yeah,
And those lights enter the eye, hit the retina, and you want it to come straight back out. And if it doesn't, if the light reflects, that's how it's doing the measurement, is from those light rays.
I
But they
see.
have added performance LEDs to this, a performance camera to this new device. this wonderful 7-inch high resolution
Yeah.
screen.
This is no less than fantastic, and that was a excellent, excellent presentation. I know it's not your first rodeo, but very nicely done. So obviously, lots and lots of questions. So is this available now?
Yes,
It is.
absolutely.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I just got my demo device like in February, but we have been showing them. They are available. We've been shipping
Okay.
them pretty routinely. It's about 4 to 6 weeks from the time of an order until you would receive one.
Okay. Are they made in China and possibly subject to tariffs?
No, they are made in Germany. Plusoptix is a
Oh, that's right.
German-based
That's
company.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful German-based company. We happen to have our own operation here in the U.S. So our CEO, our repair department, our sales team, we operate under Plusoptix Incorporated
Okay.
in the United States. So we are a fully functioning standalone business,
Yeah.
but they are manufactured in
And you've
Germany.
been around for a very long time. One of your predecessors once told me you've at that time, which was a few years ago, you've produced and sold well over 10,000 of Plusoptix devices, which is very, very impressive. So you mentioned that the previous device is not being sold for sale, but is available via a subscription model. So the new S20 is not. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay,
So the S12C, this one, which has database and Wi-Fi capabilities, is a subscription model.
right.
Most of them we're refurbishing some of them, but the advantage of subscribing is if you don't have a big budget right away, we can
Mhm.
get you into a device right away. And because the annual subscription is less, it will cost you more in the long run to subscribe rather than to buy. But the S12C always remains under warranty because it's owned by Plusoptix
Mhm.
and we maintain the warranty. So that's one of the advantages of subscribing.
Okay. How much is the S20?
The S20 is $7,495 plus
Okay.
tax plus $45 in shipping.
Plus 45. Okay. And it comes with a 1 year warranty. Is there an extended warranty?
Yes, all of our devices come with a 1 year warranty. And the unique thing about Plusoptix, they cover accidental drops, which is the number one thing that happens to devices.
Right.
And then anytime along the way, add initial purchase, a year down the road, you can decide if you want to add warranty to that. You can add a year, you can add 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however many that you would like to add.
Okay.
And again, you can decide at any time.
Yeah.
We guarantee parts for 10 years.
Okay. How expensive are the extended warranties? If, just roughly?
Yeah, I can tell you right here if you don't mind me getting
Oh,
into,
sure.
I don't want to misquote. The extended warranties run $295 for 1 year. And if you buy more, then it costs less. So if you went from 1 year at 295, you could do 5 additional years for 1,180.
Right.
So it
Okay.
gets lesser
Now,
the more you
this
purchase.
is some of the bigger institutions, have a lot of money, but it has to go through a long process to get approval. It's very complicated. And some clinics, probably like mine, have a limited budget. Is there a lease to buy option that you facilitate?
Unfortunately, there is not. You either lease or you purchase.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to wait for the capital equipment process. I've
Yeah.
worked at a children's hospital for over 30 years before I joined Plusoptix, and I'm very familiar with the capital equipment process. I will wait patiently. And if we need to stay under that, then you might want to consider one of our lesser models, which
Right.
will get you. I think of
And
them as a car,
and
Andy.
I'm very free with my advice. So I think, for if you don't sell them like hotcakes for whatever reason, because healthcare, as you know, is in turmoil, uh, producing a lease to buy, some sort of financing option a la Apple, so, you know, you can pay it over a year or whatever it is. The thing to remind pediatricians is that it may sound like a substantial purchase, but you do a lot of screening. And depending on where you work in the country, uh, screening can generate $25 per screen, $35 per screen. So it pays for itself in a matter of months. Now, the other question I have is the billing code is 99177. Is that right?
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
In your brochure, it mentions a 99173, and I thought that was a older code. Can you bill for a HOTV and a 9177? Can you?
No, you
No?
can't build them together, but you can build them separately. So
Okay.
99177 is vision screening, so that
Yeah.
middle button that we just did. And
Okay.
if you use 99173, that is visual acuity only. So that is chart
Yeah.
testing.
Which, if I
Can't build
remember
together.
correctly, that's usually bundled in with the exam. So,
No, no,
no?
no, no,
How
no, no.
much how much can you get paid
Well,
for that?
yes. Oh, no, I might have misspoke. The vision, if you do visual acuity, that might be bundled. But
Yeah.
vision screening can stand alone,
Yes, absolutely.
99177.
That's what I'm familiar with.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And the AAP actually even has a little rebuttal letter. If you have any trouble with
Yeah.
billing for your well child check and you're billing 99177 and you have trouble with that, the AAP has a little letter to help with that, help
Okay.
educate insurance companies.
Can you print a report without going through the PDF process? How do you get the report in the hand of the patient?
That might be a whole nother interview, but I'll
Okay.
try to brief you. We have several ways that you can print. So the one that works every time is using the USB drive. So if I were to stick my USB drive in here, I can retrieve, let me do it for you real quick, a little box will pop up and you can retrieve all of the screens that are on. There's that little box and it's asking me to
Yeah.
select the files. I have 21 of them on there. So that box is checked. If I want to save it to my USB, I just hit that check mark. I can then take my USB drive and put it in the computer. That works every time. And it can also be used as a backup.
Hmm.
The other way that most of our pediatric offices use it, because they use their Wi-Fi capabilities, we have some free software. It's a print driver called Plusoptix Connect.
Hmm.
You download that software onto a clinic computer, and then the minute that you take the screen, it will do several things. You can pick what you want it to do. If you want a hard copy of this PDF report to print out, if you have the software Plusoptix Connect loaded on that printer, you do the screening and you say, I want a hard copy every time, then it'll print one out. You can also tell it to save a PDF copy of this report on that computer in any folder. So it can either be on that folder on that desktop. It can go to a network folder so that a secretary, down in a different building can access it. But the software has to be loaded to a computer that is fairly nearby where you're doing the screening.
Okay.
We
Because
also
it's communicated by Bluetooth or
Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Okay.
Yep, it's communicated by Wi-Fi. So you know, Wi-Fi goes down sometimes, networks go down sometimes, and I'm old, so I always use the this method because it's really easy. You just do it at the end of the day. If you're using an electronic health record, most patients are used to going there to their electronic health record for their result. You don't really need to print out if only 5% of kids are going to be referred. So you don't need to print out 75 of these
Mhm.
passes all day if they don't need it for documentation. And they can go to their medical record to get it if they need it. The only ones that you might want to give a hard copy report right on the site is a refer if they need to go to a doctor, but you can explain that result to them, and then they can go to their electronic health record later to print it or take it to the doctor.
Mhm.
So you can save a little paper by not printing them out
Yeah,
and just dragging the PDF file up into the electronic health records later.
yeah. Is there,
But no, we have not reinvented the wheel there. There's really nothing to reinvent.
and so let me see. Obviously, there's internal memory, so it can store, right? Is there a way, and how long, if you do several screenings in the course of a day, how long does it last if you don't remember to plug it in between screening?
I want to address kind of the first question I thought you were going to. It holds 1 million records. So
Okay,
you can,
that's a
the
couple
data,
days in our clinic. Yeah. Okay.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, you can afford more than one then.
Yeah.
If you went to look up my record again, if I hit that magnifying glass, I go type my name and find me. I have several results here because obviously I've screened myself a lot of times.
Mhm.
It will store 1 million of those, that data. So it's just giving you the middle part of this report, the
Right.
refractive error, that sort of thing. But the pictures, the PDF, you can decide to delete if you don't want them clogging up your device. And that's by going to that settings wheel and using the smiley face to the garbage can, and it will delete all those PDFs. You can also have it delete the PDFs when you use the USB drive or when you use that software I mentioned. That's one of the things you can select. I want a hard copy, I want a PDF to go to my desktop, and I also want you to delete that PDF off of the device. And then the other question you asked is how long does the battery life last?
Mhm.
It really depends. When I mentioned that settings, oh, look at me, I'm
So
all
yeah.
the way up there on my sound. If you go kind of toward the middle, that saves battery life. But in general, they will last for about 4 hours without being plugged in.
Okay.
So I would say use it all morning in your clinic, plug it in during lunchtime, use it all afternoon, and then
It,
plug it in the next morning before clinic or in the evening.
is
You could
there a
also
way
get a
to
second
have
battery.
a separate battery and recharge that independent of the device?
Not right now. It does have to be in the device and plugged in, but there isn't any reason that you couldn't have an extra battery to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
you're leading into the future. So this is only a crystal ball that I'm telling you about, crystal ball prediction. This little device, when I take it out to a show, it comes with this little stand that I was just playing with. This stand, and when our owner first demonstrated it to us, it just kind of swivels on the stand, which is kind of a fun thing when I'm at my display table. But we said, "Oh, could that be a charger?" And
Oh,
maybe that,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's easy.
And that's what he said. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the another advantage of considering the S20 device, it has a platform made for the future. These
Right.
other devices don't have that same platform to be ready for the future.
Right.
So that's one thing that we're hoping happens in the future.
Okay. So, in the interest of time, I'm going to conclude this and I'm going to discuss some stuff with Lori after I stop the recording. But I think this new device, the S20, is outstanding, and every pediatrician who should be doing vision screening should consider buying it. So, I'm going to stop the recording and thank you, Lori. That was excellent.